Hi, this is Liz Presley. Welcome to The World According to Liz. Today is our maiden voyage of our podcast, and my guest today is Trevor Mays, Student Council Class President for a senior class, soon to graduate in May 2025.
Yeah.
So I'm here to ask a few questions of Trevor, and Trevor's going to ask a few questions of me. And we will impart all of our wisdom onto the rest of the world.
Yes, for everyone to listen.
Okay, do you want to go first?
Okay, yes, because I think I have this is a good intro question for everyone listening.
Okay.
Because I kind of have heard this before, but maybe you haven't told everyone this. But my first question is, when did you decide you wanted to pursue a career in education through this particular teaching style? And what continues to motivate you to show up every day for your students after all this time?
As far as this style of the vehicle of which that I help students learn, that style was determined by Dallas CISD when they rejected me for Teach for America.
Okay.
But as far as wanting to be a teacher, I wanted to be a teacher since I was 10 years old and saw my dad teach art history in a summer course that was totally full. So you're in the summer in St. Louis, in Forest Park at Washington University, and there are 30 kids crammed into this dark room looking at slides, and he had them all enraptured, completely on the edge of their seats. And I was like, oh, dang, I want to do that. That's incredible.
And do you ever go to one of his classes and sit on one of his lectures?
That's where I was. I was in his lecture.
Okay.
Because it was, my mom had to work, and so he was watching me. He's like, well, I don't have a babysitter, so you're going with me. And there I was listening to him talk about 2 coins. And there's this picture, of these 2 coins, and he's talking about how then when they started minting coins in early Greek times, how they actually, the method by which they were not only minting them, but how they sculpted them to create the mint, and all that different processes for his art history lesson. But for this method, for my method that I do, I wanted to go for Teach for America, and the Dallas ISD said, you don't have any experience. Look, I've written manuals. I've led teams of 20. I've done all this. No, you don't have any experience in a classroom. Go tutor for a year. I was like, okay.
Okay. And so did you have your certification in teaching?
Nope.
When you applied?
No, because it was Teach for America is an alternative certification. So they help you get that certificate while you're actually a student teacher, and you go to classes on the weekend. Because I already had my degree. I have a degree in psychology. I just didn't have a teaching certificate, nor had I been in the classroom. So I started tutoring, and it exploded. In a year, I had 40 students all on my own.
And what year did you start this?
2008.
Okay.
No, 2000. Let me count. Yeah, 2007, 2008, somewhere in there.
Don't know. Born.
What?
That was when I was born.
Ah!
Yeah.
So I've been tutoring as long as you've been alive. So yeah. And then the classes started about 4 years after, because there just wasn't enough of Liz to go around. So it was like, I am so sick of saying force equals mass times acceleration 8 times a day. I was like, y'all can be in the same room.
So that's so smart though, saving your time.
Well, I was, and it saves them money as well, because I was, I was married to Rob at that point, but I had brought Kate up as a single parent in South Lake, because I was very cognizant of what cost is and what things, the value of the dollar. And so it was like, okay, this meets everybody's needs. So that's how I started tutoring.
Can I ask one more question? Because you talked about your dad and how you were so inspired by how he captivated his students. What parts of your dad do you think were so attractive to his students, and do you try to emulate those in your classes?
When my dad passed away, my eulogy to him was that my dad shines. He was brilliant. And he did. He'd walk into a room, and you know that my dad's a homosexual, and he literally commanded all the attention. But he didn't suck the life out of the room. You know those types of people that you're
Yes,
like, oh
I
my
do.
God, you just sucked all the air out of the room.
I do.
And my dad, on the other hand, was vibrant. And
He energized everyone.
he did. And now granted, he still commanded their attention.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody knew when Bob Tanksley Clark
Mm-hmm.
came in the room. Everybody knew.
Okay.
But he just shined. He just was brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
And that brilliance came from his mind, his education, his knowledge. His love to help. After he passed, the National Hemorrhagic Society gave him a post, and I can't say the word, post humorous post. Yeah, after he's dead, they give you an award. But they gave him an award for being the star mentor of the year, because he's always willing to help someone teach someone.
Mm-hmm.
That was just his nature.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I remember being 5 and him using his hand to teach me about theology and how Christianity started here, and yet Catholicism, Eastern Orthodox, and then, and he was even teaching me about Martin Luther and King Henry.
So he was just a storyteller.
He was just a storyteller. He just naturally, and that education came from that story.
Wow. That's amazing. Well, I think the way you teach is so captivating, almost like it'll be about, force and velocity and stuff, but it can still be captivating in a way that you don't get from the classroom. So I do think you still have that energy and that nature to you.
So I carry on a little bit of that shine.
Yeah, 100%. No, you definitely shine. You definitely shine.
Well, good. Okay. Do I get a question?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So you are about to graduate. You are 8 weeks from graduation.
Yes.
I know you're probably counting days of school, maybe even hours of school. Probably days, because days would be shorter.
In the moment, it's like, oh, this is terrible. But at the same time, I know I'm going to miss it so much. So I'm like in between fast forwarding and also like
and rewinding.
Being present in the moment.
Well, and so you're talking about the moment. My question relates to, what was probably the most memorable moment in your Carroll years? What was, if you had to pick one moment and explain to my 7-year-old grandson, this is the moment that hit me the most. This is the biggest lesson that I learned, good or bad. Okay. What would that be?
Well, it was kind of like a period of time, I would say.
I'll go with that.
It was at the end of my junior year when all of these elections came out for running for senior class president, National Honor Society president, Gay Straight Alliance president. All of these elections were coming out.
Could you have enough? You're president of all those?
And
a few more.
President of my club, Make a Difference. And also I'm co-president of the Student Builder Empowerment Club, which is also so amazing. Well, that's another, okay, so let me get to this one. So, because this was like the start of the chain of events, I would say. So it was at the end of my junior year, and all these elections came out. And first, National Honor Society officer positions came out. And I was like, oh, I'm going to run for that. Like, yeah, of course. Like, why not? Also, of course, like the resume pressure was online too. Like, I'll just be honest about that. So I ran for that, and I was like, okay, that was great. Because I wanted to be involved with something. I wanted to lead something. But also, National Honor Society isn't the most like active organization. They aren't really like going out and creating things or anything like that.
Right.
So I had run for that. I was doing my campaign for that. I was putting so much energy into it. And then senior class officers came out. And I had already I don't know if I had won at the moment or if the election was closing, but I think I had a pretty good indication that I was going to win that one. And so, but when senior class came out, I was like, okay, but this is the one that I was really passionate about. Mm-hmm. And originally I was going to run for vice president, and my really good friend was going to run for president, and we were going to flip-flop right in HS. But what I ended up realizing was, if I was going to put like my time into this campaign to be on this council and not really do what I felt called to do, which was be president, I mean, like back, I was thinking like, oh, like class president, like that'd be so cool. Like, oh my gosh, like getting like create all these ideas and stuff. And so when it came up, it was kind of getting towards the end of where you could sign up. And I was like conflicted between, okay, should I run for, because I had already, I think, won NHS president, but I was like, should I run for class president or should I run for vice president and like play it safe in a way?
Right.
And so but I was like, and there was like about 8 other people running for class president, like 7 other people. And then there were some like pretty big people on there. And I was like, okay, like, do I really have it in me to do it compared to them? Like, do they have, like, are they going to have the popularity? Are they going to have the votes over me? But, and I was like, and also I was looking to my friends and they were kind of like, oh, well, Trevor, like, you're already running for this one. Like, do you really want to do both? Like, is it fair to do both? But, and then, like, is it feasible to do both?
Right.
But I knew in my gut I could and I wanted to.
You had the bandwidth.
And in my like humble opinion, I felt like I would be the best person to do it because I know how much I care about my friends and the people who aren't even my friends or people in my class and how much I had branched out.
Just to be represented.
Yes, exactly. And that's what I wanted. I didn't want someone who just represented their friends and their people in their circle. I wanted someone
to just represent
for the whole school that someone knew would be listening, like that would listen to them and that would validate them and all these things. And so I was kind of like in like a fork in the road of like playing it safe and like doing what a lot of people around me wanted me to do versus taking the risk, taking the jump and pursuing what I was really passionate about. And the biggest lesson that I learned through that was that one, other people's limits aren't your limits. So whenever someone is trying to say, oh, you can't do this or oh, you shouldn't do this, just because they say that doesn't mean that they're right. Or doesn't mean, because they aren't in your shoes, they haven't lived through your experiences or what has made you you
right.
and see your vision for the future. So it's like, that's why I tell people all the time is like, if you want to go for something that you're passionate about, do it. If you see value in something, do it. Because you lose more by not trying than by trying and failing. Because if you try and fail, at least you learned a lesson from it.
Most of your lessons are going to be from failures. You have to continue to try something.
Okay, we'll stop. Okay, no, I'll wait for that. But and so anyway, so the campaign starts, and it's kind of tension. Like there's kind of like some things going around about me, like how I was kind of like shady about it or whatever, like kind of being greedy. But at the end of the day, I knew it was what I wanted to do. I knew I would do a great job doing it. I knew I would put my heart into it, and that's why I did my campaign. I think it just ended up shining through. I had a lot of support. A lot of my friends were really supportive, and then I won, and it was amazing. And so that whole era of just like my teacher, one of my favorite teachers, she told me, cast a wide net, like you're bound to catch something. So that's what I did. I ran for all these. So like people tell me like, oh, like you're doing all these clubs. Like how are you doing? I was like, I only did that because I wanted to cast that wide net, like my teacher told me. And so I did, and so I ended up in all these opportunities and all of these like presidencies type positions. And then that's taking that risk and stepping out of my comfort zone is what made me grow into who I am. And because of it, I've gotten so many amazing experiences, things I would have never done before. I get to like output things from my community that I love, connect with so many people. And so that was definitely like my biggest high school moment, because I think it was me growing to like another level of myself that I would never have seen or foreseen like my freshman or sophomore year.
Right.
And so that was definitely my biggest moment, I would say.
So to walk through that door opened up everything for
you. And it's completely changed my mindset and just, and I tell other people too, just like, you can do what you want to do as long as you just take that step, take that risk.
Right.
Because so many people want so much, but they aren't even willing to take the first step because they're afraid, oh, how am I going to look? How am I going to be like going out to these people and talking to these people? But it's like, who cares?
Right.
Like, do what you love and what you want to do. And so that's definitely the biggest moment of my high school, because I always think about and I always reflect on.
Wow. That's quite a moment.
Yeah, it was a moment.
Think about it. You were so stymied and vacillated back and forth by your friends and what they told you could or could not do.
I was asking everyone.
You just decided, no, I'm going to go do this. I'm going to go be Trevor and be the best. And you were.
Thank you. Well, I mean, yeah, it's just been like such a blessing, like doing all of this stuff. Like, yes, it is tiring. Yes, it is like not dreadful at times, but just extremely exhausting. But I know, like,
oh no, I'm sure it was dreadful.
if I weren't to do this, like, a lot of this stuff wouldn't be happening. And so that's why I'm grateful for it all.
Great. Good.
My time for a question?
Your time for a question.
Oh, well, let me ask you a question, because you said if you don't fail, you can't learn, you can't grow. Can I ask, maybe not like the biggest, but what was one failure that you think has really propelled you forward in your success? Maybe through this or in life? Or was there one that you can reflect on? Like a
Oh, I've
lesson
had
that you
lots
learned?
of failures.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of failures. The first and foremost was your moments in life are, you have lots of teachers and teachers, my parents, my teachers at school,
Mm-hmm.
my friends are your teachers. You have lots of opportunities to learn, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Now, my dad was an art history professor in my younger years. So we grew up on liberal arts campuses, which means you go to college to learn, not to get a trade, not or anything like that, but to learn.
Mm-hmm.
So the concept of learning was always paramount in my family.
Mm-hmm.
But my parents were horrible at relationships.
Mm-hmm.
Horrible.
Mm-hmm.
I've always stated they never should have bred. They should not have ever had children because they were the worst parents. And they really weren't the worst. I can think of lots of parents, people who do terrible things to their children. And they did do terrible things to us through neglect. And they modeled horrible behavior in a relationship. So I would say my biggest failure was the failure of my first marriage. And I always wanted to blame him, but I had to realize that it wasn't just him. I shouldn't have married him. He's not the right person for me. But it was through lots of other things, and actually the marriage to Rob, that I realized all the failings that I had done in my first marriage because of things that I had learned from my mom. That now I look at it and go, oh my gosh, I should have done this. Not to say that my marriage to my daughter's father would have stayed, but that's been my biggest failure. As far as tutoring, there are some failures. Biggest failure for tutoring is saying that I can do everything and trying to tutor sixth graders. And when I made the third sixth grader cry, it was like, maybe I shouldn't do this anymore. Because I expect them to do too much. I want them to be so excited about math that you don't know your times tables. No.
Okay.
You know, I mean, and so it's not that I can't do it, but I really have to turn the volume down on my mind. And I don't do that very well.
Like understand your audience in a way.
I understand my audience and all of that. And so that taught me stay in your lane. So
find your niche.
You know, yeah. So my niche is, and this is where I am good at, is both math and science, because I can speak both languages. And you, going through Carroll, know there are lots of math teachers who can't speak science. And there are lots of science teachers who definitely don't speak math. And I speak both languages. And I don't speak any other. I don't speak Spanish, don't speak French, but I speak those languages. So, but personally, my biggest failure was my first marriage failing. And professionally, the failures were trying to do too much to too many people and realizing that there is a limit. There is a lane. There is a place that I excel at. And learning to stay in the lane, which is why we opened the building. So we have other tutors that can pick up that slack for those other lanes.
Can I ask you a question? Being one leader.
That's what we're here for.
Well, yes, but from you being the leader of your business, like this amazing, huge business that helps so many people, to me kind of being leader in my high school, how do you balance like delegating your tasks off and like still trusting that they can deliver like the same quality that you would want or the same energy and passion that you have?
You and I are both type A people. We like to be in control. That is the hardest part. And when we did open this, we being Rob and I, and he wanted to bring on Eric because it's not just Tutor of Dragons here. We have other businesses as well. But he wanted to bring on Eric. And then from there, we brought on Jorge, my assistant. And he's not my assistant, I should say the Tutor of Dragons assistant. There have been lots of times where we're at home and Rob goes, well, do you think this has happened? I'm like, just trust that they're going to do their job. Whether, because it'll be Saturday night. I'm like, there's nothing we can do until Monday morning. Trust that they've done their job. And he just looks at me and he goes, who are you and what's happened to you? Because
that wasn't how it used to be.
No, heavens, no. I control everything. And I always think that No one can do it as good as I can.
Mm-hmm.
And there are some things that, no, I'm not going to put someone else in the classroom to replace me. But the day-to-day to run the operations, there are far more knowledgeable people. I've come up with processes, but they certainly aren't the best. So I have to have faith that they can do their job that they're hired for.
Mm-hmm.
And if they can't, there will be someone else who can.
Mm-hmm.
Will it be right now? Will it suffer and suck and be degrading and horrible
For a moment.
in the moment? Yes. Yes, it will be. But eventually everybody will learn and we'll grow from that.
Mm-hmm.
So mistakes are going to happen. Mistakes are always going to happen. That is life. Change is always going to happen. And this is a myth that we tell. There are lots of myths that we tell you as children, be them fairy tales, be them myths. This concept that your senior year is supposed to be an easy year is baloney.
That was baloney.
Because you're going to go off to college and you're going to have, do you remember how hard your freshman year was?
Mm-hmm.
You had to get used to the A-day, B-day schedule. Mm-hmm. You had to get used to managing your time. And we load you all this baloney of, you have to take every AP and every advance because you got to boost your GPA. Mm-hmm. And there you are in first quarter crying because it's 3 a.m. and you can't think straight.
Yeah.
And you're still trying to write an essay.
Yeah.
And your mom's yelling at you because you need to go to bed and she knows what's best for you right now. Mm. But Mom, I got to do this. Yeah. And so you're going to experience that all over again, except Mom's not going to be there to hold your hand. And alcohol will be readily available along with other substances at college. Where are you going to make the wisest choice or not wisest choice? So I'd rather see our seniors take a lot more initiative and a lot more difficult courses than some of the choices that they make. I want it to be easy because I want to focus on prom and I want
I get what you mean.
Those aren't, prom's important. I'm not going to deny that, but it's not the most important thing because this is just one more step to where you're going.
I get what you mean. So like when people, a lot of seniors have the mindset where it's like, okay, like I'm just going to take the gas off, like nothing matters. Like,
right.
Like, let me not pursue anything. Let me just take it off. But it's like, you can be, I always like, right now is the time to build yourself up and evolve into the person you want to be and carry with you onto college. So when it really does get rough, you have the discipline, you have the integrity.
Those are the two key words that if I could impart on anybody, that's it.
Discipline and integrity.
And that comes from within. That's not something anybody can teach you.
Mm-hmm.
It's modeled for you. It's modeled for you by adults. It's modeled for you by parents or the lack of it by parents.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But that still comes from within. That's your passion. That's a choice that you make to be disciplined and have integrity. Everybody can gossip, but is it really right to do so?
Mm-hmm.
And it's the integrity to go, I don't think that's true, as opposed to spreading it on.
Exactly. Or to know that it's not true and say, no, that's not true.
And that's a whole nother podcast that we could go into.
But remember when I wrote on the board, I said like integrity is like dwindling by the day or something?
It's still up there.
It's still on the board, guys.
Everything else got erased, but that's still up there.
It's so true. And I feel like with integrity.
I think what you wrote was integrity is a diamond.
Or something like that. Or I think I drew a diamond or something.
You drew a diamond, yeah.
But I always say like having integrity, like in knowing who you are and what you believe in, it can be hard. And like if you really lean into that and really act on your integrity and what you know is right and wrong, there is gonna be a period of isolation where you won't be as close to your friends. They're gonna be like, oh, why aren't you doing this? Like, oh, you're not cool. Like, why are they getting all mad about this? Like, you can't take a joke, you have no fun. It's like when you have integrity and you walk that path a little bit on your own,
yes,
that's when you find your true passion, your true friends who see you for who you are, who like act like who you are, who inspire you. And that's why I feel like so many people are scared to do this because, oh, well, if I do this, like I won't have my friends anymore. Like they're not going to want to be. But it's like, if they act like that, is that really someone?
Are they really your friends?
Yeah. Do you really want to, like, birds of a feather flock together? If they're treating you like this, like, what does that make? What does that tell about you? What does that tell about what you tolerate? About how you respect yourself? So it's like I always say, like, especially in college, be smart about who your friends are. Even now, because it's like walking that path alone, it can be so scary and it can feel alone at the time, but you're gonna be so grateful that you chose that harder path
Mhm.
because then you're gonna be happier. You won't be guilty in your bed thinking, oh, I should have done this. Or when your friend's hurt and you're like, oh, I could have prevented this because you know all your actions were intentional
Sure.
and done with empathy and like integrity, genuinely.
Yeah. So that leads me to my next question because you asked a few. Are we
Mhm.
still on?
I did, but I asked my main question.
Oh, ask your main question then.
Okay, so it's my turn now. Sorry, are we talking a lot?
Yeah, but that's okay.
Okay.
I'm worried about your time.
Oh no, I don't have a time limit. No.
Okay. All right.
I said my question is what because you talked about the liberal arts and just soaking up knowledge and all of
Mhm.
this, but I want to ask you what, especially in our community with the resources that we have available, what do you think is the biggest barrier to young adults excelling academically? Do you think it's caused socially, structurally, or from external influences? And then also, what advice do you have for students to best excel in their future aspirations, whether academically, professionally, or any aspect of their life? That's a loaded question. You can take it one part at
Okay.
a
You're
time.
gonna have to do one part. When you say structurally, the impediment structurally, what would that be?
Or socially, like, do you think it's like it's not cool to try in school? Like, do you ever get
Okay.
that, or
Okay.
do you
Okay.
think like,
I think the biggest impediment for kids is this race for grades and the race for GPA.
mm,
And I wish we could just eliminate. I wish the state of Texas didn't have a top 10, top 5
mm-hmm,
rule at all.
mm-hmm,
So that grades, of course, matter, but parents put too much emphasis on grades because that's the only measurement that we have for academic success.
mm-hmm,
And my saying has always been uh, be forewarned here that this is bad language, but in this town, grades can be just as manufactured as lips, tits, and hips. So they have no meaning, they have no value. When you have teachers who hand out 30 bonus points, well, my daughter got a 92 in calculus. My daughter got 130 on her algebra 2 final. Do you really think that your daughter got 130 on the algebra 2 final?
mm-hmm,
Your teacher gave you a 30-point bonus.
mm-hmm.
The lack of, and then students believe the lie that I have a 98 in that class or I have this grade in this class
Because it's not really
because it's not real.
It's not a good representation of what they really know.
It's not real. Right. It's been manufactured by through bonus points or through test retake. I'm all for students not to be left behind. I think Laura Bush, let's face it, it's not W, it's Laura, who, promoted that No Child Left Behind. But I think the manifestation of it has been incorrect
Mm-hmm.
in that how many kids do you know who've never passed a test, but yet they still have an 85 in the class?
That's okay. That's like me in math low-key right now.
Oh, it is not. I
Well,
know better. You're in an AP course, that's different. But even so, when you were taking when you jumped from on level to advanced pre-cal, you didn't fail every test.
Mm-hmm,
You still came in and tried to learn. Okay.
mm-hmm.
So to me, I don't know if it's a social construct because everybody's weighing
Competing.
everybody and everybody's competing. And I mean, I suggested to a student this year, why are you taking AP physics? You can barely pass this class.
Mm-hmm,
Take something better
mm-hmm.
that will suit you better. And she was offended that I would suggest on level. And I was like, why? And a 98 and on level looks much better college wise. Plus, you're actually going to learn more
Mm-hmm.
than even trying, AP physics talks in a language that's, halfway above the room,
Mm-hmm.
or at least on level, you can get the gist of it and
Mhm.
understand the basic concepts of the flow of energy,
Mm-hmm.
which is what physics is
Mhm.
about. So, and same thing with my 8th graders. I'm like, do not take 8 APs. Do not take 2 APs and 4 advanced classes. It is too much.
Mm-hmm.
And when you take too much, colleges don't look at it. By the time you hit 12 or 14 AP classes, which I think is ridiculously high, 8 is a perfect amount. Between 5 and 8 AP classes is a good amount. So I have that. So you have that social construct of I have to. but it's all about the grades, not about the actual knowledge.
Mm.
And so the second part of that, the structural part of that, I guess, would be ChatGPT
Yes.
and how easy it is, the allure of how, it's like the new drug in town, and we all know Mother's Little Helper song from the Stones. It was the allure of taking a drug or a Valium in the 60s, which then converted into something else in the 70s. And then we rationalized it with this me generation. Well, if I'm not happy, then how can my kids possibly be happy?
Mm-hmm.
And then we went into Reagan economics, and we've been in what I feel now. I don't think the 50s were all that great either. Trust me.
Mm-hmm.
Teenage pregnancy was higher. Men abused their wives, all kinds of things. But there needs to be a self-actualization. Maslow's hierarchy of needs.
Mm-hmm.
There has to be a self-actualization as opposed to just this constant, well, my grade says I'm good, so therefore I'm good.
Really?
That's
yeah.
a false validation.
Because then when it's time for certain people to really write, no ChatGPT, it's blank space.
No kidding.
Or it's...
Which is why I stay in my lane. Or when I do publish a ChatGPT poem, I clearly state, this was written by ChatGPT.
Mm-hmm.
I don't do language arts.
Okay.
So
I get that.
now, what was the second part of the question? Because I was already thinking of the structural part.
No, you're 100%
it.
fine. You're 100% fine. It's what advice do you have for students to best excel in their future aspirations, whether academically, professionally, or any aspect of their life?
Okay, first, be honest with yourself.
Mm.
That honesty with yourself. Did I really do this work, or did somebody else?
Or like, what am I capable of? What do I really want to do?
No, just even, did I do this? Mm-hmm. Did I copy it? Did I copy from my neighbors? So what that you got 100? Did you do the work?
Mm-hmm.
Because at the end of the day, if you continue to lie to yourself, you know that you lied to yourself. Mm-hmm. Even though you believe it and pronounce it to the rest of the world, you still know when you go to sleep and you wake up and look in the mirror.
I'm glad that you're saying that.
You lied to yourself. And that chips away. And then that makes it even harder, as you were talking about earlier, to walk that path alone.
That's so true.
It makes you that much less able because you need the support of others to validate you because you've invalidated yourself.
Because what you're outputting to the world isn't who you really are.
Right. So it goes back to the other conversation we were having of don't be afraid to fail. We have so many parents in this town that don't let their kids fail.
Mm-hmm. That's so true.
And they need to learn to fail.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you don't learn to fail, you don't learn that, you know what? You can get your sorry butt up and fix it.
That's 100% true. Or people having these beliefs like, I can't do good in math. Like, I can't do it. Like, I have to.
Those words are never allowed in this building. Everybody can do math. It's like Ratatouille. Mm-hmm. Everyone can cook. Everyone can do math. They may not do it very well. They may not get to AP calculus. I don't care. You can do math. Mm-hmm. Order of operations is order of operations. Mm-hmm. But yes, I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
No, but it's just like about, I can't do this. Let me try and blame everything around me on why I can't do the work to do this.
No, you can't. Just step up.
Exactly.
Just step up.
Exactly.
Discipline, integrity.
But like you said, I
cast a wide net.
It takes people around you, and I've been blessed to have so many like amazing mentors like in my life, adults, people like you, just through clubs, teachers who teach that type of thing. But I feel like if you aren't around those people who are gonna hold you accountable, really grab you and be like, hey, like let's be for real here, like let's really do this now.
Right.
And like you said, so many parents just coddle their children, make this perfect environment.
I can't possibly let them get below a 90.
Mm-hmm. Or a sports team. They didn't make the team. You don't have to go harass the coach to get them on the team. They need to work. Your kid needs to work harder.
Yeah.
To prove themselves.
Or maybe that's just not their sport.
Mm-hmm. Don't make them someone that they're not. Empower them where they're powerful.
Yes, exactly. That authenticity, that integrity.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Is it now your turn?
It is my turn. It's my question now. You've already answered it, but I want you to rephrase it in your words.
Okay.
So you're going off to school. Mm-hmm. So we've talked about the open door, and you try different things. Mm-hmm. What, at this stage again, in your Are you 18 or 19?
18.
18-year-old self. What are your goals? I know what my goals were at 18.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I was 17 when I went off to college, but at this stage of your life, I know what my goals were. And I'm just curious, do you have goals, or are you talk about a lot about being in the moment, but
Mm-hmm.
do you know what you want to do?
I have an idea. So if you don't know, I'm going to UC Austin to major in business at McCombs, but I'm also going to be doing Plan 2 honors, which is like an interdisciplinary kind of liberal arts, like very philosophical, like literature based program. So it's kind of a double major in a way.
Mhm.
And so I always want to go to UT, and business is amazing, but I've always been called to do something bigger. Like I feel like I've always known, because I've always, like, growing up, I wasn't like the super like confident, outgoing person that I am. I went through a period of not being seen, and constantly being like picked on in a way, or neglected, not neglected, but just disregarded everything that I said, everything that I felt. But after really working on myself, gaining my skills, I was then able to help those who weren't.
Mhm.
Those things, the same way that people wouldn't look at me because of they really excluded me for being how I looked or being like in my identity. I realized around me the same people were feeling that same thing, and I was able to go to them. And so with my career, what I hope to do, I'm thinking about law school. I'm thinking about getting my MBA, whatever. I have definitely high educational aspirations, but I want to do something that is influential. But I did a lot of research last year in my AP seminar class, and my research topic was over the Democratic Republic of the Congo and mineral extraction there, and how it was causing so many human rights violations. And so,
Really?
yes, so basically, in the DRC, there's cobalt, and so cobalt was in our phones and our lithium batteries, so like powers our phones, our technology, everything. And so many foreign countries, things like Tesla, or are minerals made for their products, are extracted from the DRC through military coercion, through child slavery, through all these things. I mean, I was doing this research, and it was these terrible stories. And also, these minerals are like carcinogenic. They cause cancer. They cause all these breathing defects, health defects, everything. And they're like in these 20 feet quarries, just mining with their hands, like fingers bleeding, with guns pointed at them. And then it's illegally shipped over for like these ultra wealthy people to just like profit off of. And so that genuinely made me see the world different, and see that just the pleasurous life that I have, and just like doing everything, is lived off of those who will never even be able to see like a glimpse of what I take for granted.
Right.
And so what I hope to do in the future is, through my abilities, through my skills, gain the influence and the power to then do good by those people and ensure that they're advocated for. So one of the like at the moment, like I said, I want to go to law school, but I want to do something that has to do with corporate compliance and just monitoring the supply chain, making sure that these corporations aren't abusing and exploiting these like third world countries. And so that's definitely one of my big aspirations, but also a huge thing that I've been telling myself, and it's a quote, and there's two actually. One is, don't ruin the moment now by trying to fast forward and envision your entire life ahead of you. So be present in the moment. I really struggle with being present in the moment. With doing so many like 1,000 things. I'll be like with my friends. I'll just be thinking about, oh, what's this club thing that I have to do? Like, what do I have to make here? Who do I have to talk to? It's like, be present, and like, also the second quote is, the path will present itself as you walk it. And so going to college, I know there's going to be so many opportunities, so many like things, like mentors who are going to guide my path. But as long as I keep having my integrity and I keep taking those steps forward, I know whatever is meant to happen will happen. I know I won't get every opportunity, but what's meant for me is meant for me.
Mhm.
And if I don't get something, there's probably something better, or that was meant to teach me something to get me on my path again. And so, also another thing. So I'm just dropping like lesson that like I always want like anyone to hear is, like, there's big failures, but I was doing this reading on this book, and it was about like some of the biggest sports athletes, like Michael Jordan, Roger Federer, the tennis player. And I'm pretty sure Roger was giving a speech. I think it was at Dartmouth. It was like what's it called when like they have a guest speaker at their graduation?
A guest speaker at the graduation.
Commencement speech. And he was talking about something about how he only lost he only won like 50%, like 50 to 60% of like his points, but he won like 86% of his games or matches. And so it was about, and then also with Michael Jordan about how he took like, I don't know, it was like a crazy one. I can't remember exactly, but he took so and so many like game winning shots, game winning, like game on the line.
Mm-hmm.
And he missed like, I want to say it was like around 30 like game winning shots. But no one remembers those. No one remembers the failures. They remember how he got up in the next game, how Roger got up on the next point and hit the grand slam or made the game winning shot. And so it's like there are failures like going through these college applications. Like there's been all these like, okay, like I didn't get that. But it's like, it's just about getting up and reminding myself I can do this. I'm capable. I'm again cast the wide net. I didn't catch this fish, but I'm gonna catch a bigger one. This one in the corner.
Mm-hmm.
So I just remind myself of just as long as I keep chasing those opportunities, keep following my heart and my passions, I'm gonna end up doing what I'm meant to do.
Awesome.
So that's what I would say.
Awesome.
So
Good.
is this what you thought you were gonna be doing when you were 18?
No. God no.
Was this your goal?
When I was 18, I ended up going to an engineering university, and I thought I was going to be coming up with something that would be green. Because we all know I'm a tree hugger.
Mm-hmm.
And I got there, and first of all, the two primary donators to, I forgot what they're called, but the two corporate sponsors of the chemical engineering were Pittsburgh Paints. And yes, the grad students literally watched paint dry and would run them under spectrometers to see how the color changed, because wet paint looks different than dry. So that's what they were doing, is drying paint and looking at the color, the difference. Literally watching paint dry. And the other one was Dow Chemical, which had just gotten sued for the dioxin scandal, where dioxin is an oil-based product that you would spray on gravel roads to keep the dust down, because farmers were having a lot of issues with their big tractors on, because most of the roads in the Midwest are not the gravel in rural areas. I mean, okay, so those of you who are not from the Midwest, I will tell you, Highway 70 is actually concrete. There are highways, but when you get out into the country, a lot of the rural roads are gravel, as they are here in Texas. And my professor was speaking on behalf of Dow Chemical. I'm like, you are the devil. You killed these people.
Yes.
And so I struggle, I mean, there was a little part of me that was
moral.
Yes.
Like, oh gosh.
Well, and one of the things that part of what was instilled in me in this liberal arts type of thing was we're all part of a community. It's not what can you do for me? And we all hear that. Well, what can you do for me? How is this going to help me? Quid pro quo, and all that type of stuff. And I don't think in terms of that. I think in terms of how can I better the community? How can I help the community? That's why I grow plants and sell the tomato and pepper plants. I'm there for the community. It's all part of you. No man is an island type of thing. You are integral to this whole ecosystem. And so that's kind of where that comes from. So I was there 6 weeks and realized I was at the wrong university. What was I going to do then? And then I also found out that all my solar projects that I was so excited to work on were being bought by petroleum companies and shelved.
Wow. Oh, wow. So you realize
the world
the people around you and your aspirations to work for someone, they didn't have the same moral alignment that you did.
No.
And you had the moral courage to step away.
Kind of. I met my husband and then didn't step away. So I didn't have the moral courage. So there was a whole long path there.
Okay.
But, which is what landed me in South Lake, because Craig moved me here. And then 2 days before we bought the house said, "See ya.
Okay.
I'm marrying someone else."
Okay. Well, we don't have to get into that.
We don't need to get into that.
But
it landed me here.
Exactly. And so it's like, another thing is like, so many like crazy things or you think are so unfortunate, they're just guiding you along your path.
Those and that's the thing. I can wallow in self-pity of, oh, look what happened to me. Or you go, nope, there's the boots. Go put those boots on.
Mm-hmm.
Put them on. Get your ass outside.
You know what you have to do.
Go do something.
Mm-hmm.
You have to do something. You have to pay the bills. You have to clean up the dog poop. You have to clean the house.
No
you
one's
have
coming
to
to
put the
save
dishes.
you.
No one's coming. I cannot be Cinderella.
Mm-hmm.
There is no Prince Charming.
Mm-hmm. No fairy godmother.
No fairy godmother.
That's a huge thing, I think. And like you're saying, I think that's when I again like wish you could like shout on like a megaphone to everyone in our community. It's like so many times people like parents will come in and swoop them up and be like, no, it's okay, like protect them.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes you need to be alone. Like you need to have that pressure of what do I do to realize I can do this. I can save myself. If I think it, I can do it. If you keep saying I can't, you won't be able to. But if you say I can and take those steps, you will.
You will. And one of the things when parents will text me, oh, so and so got such a good grade on their test, and I know that that's something that student worked for. They're like, oh, thank you. You helped them so much. You did this. And it's like, I didn't do it. I didn't take the test.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't sit down and write those answers
Mm-hmm.
in. Your student did. Your child did that. Kudos to them,
Mm-hmm.
not to me.
Mm-hmm.
All I did was give them the self-confidence and the strength.
100%. That is so true because after something your session, everyone's like, yeah, we got it now.
You got it. That's the whole purpose of what I do.
Believing that you can do it, empowering your students to believe that they can do it.
Exactly. Okay. I'm ready.
For
Ready for that last question.
Yes. I'm excited. And
Okay.
I think you're going to like this one.
Okay. You can't see it online right now, but there is a trepidation to my face.
Okay. No.
Okay, go.
Okay. Do you think young adults and students like myself have a collective responsibility that they owe to their community and society? And if so, what would it be and what advice do you have to fulfill that task?
Okay. So do you have, I think we all have an obligation to our community, whether that community be small,
Mm-hmm.
as small as your household.
Mm-hmm.
You need to put your dishes in the dishwasher. You need to pick up after yourself. I don't care if you have a maid or not.
Mm-hmm.
You need to do that.
Mm-hmm.
It's part of being a good human. You have a obligation to your community. You should drive respectfully.
Mm-hmm.
All this stuff on, on Facebook right now about these electric bikes and
Mm-hmm.
everybody all upset about them. Those kids feel like that they're above it.
Mm-hmm.
And that they don't have to follow the rules.
Mm-hmm.
Rules are there not just to be a drag. Rules are there to respect everybody.
And to protect everyone.
To protect everyone and protect them, as well as just for the sake of order. Now, I'm not to the point of order has to be so inflamed that we all need to march to the same drummer. We live in America, which allows for us to have all kinds of freedoms that we can do whatever we want.
Mm-hmm.
But you still have to do it respectfully
Mm-hmm.
and with courage and conviction with your fellow man.
Mm-hmm.
I have the freedom to swing my arms, but if I swing my arms and hit someone, my freedom stopped as soon as my arm hits that other person.
Mm-hmm.
That's I don't have that freedom. I can carry a weapon if I should so desire, but my freedom stops with firing that weapon at an animal or another human being.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have that freedom.
Mm-hmm.
We have rules. We need to respect the rules.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we're too forgetful that right is right and wrong is wrong.
That's so true. And there doesn't have, and no matter what the circumstances or what led you up to if you still do wrong, you did wrong. It doesn't matter if someone told you to do wrong.
Just say and own up to it. This is one of my biggest gripes is that no one will say, I screwed up. How many times have you seen me at the board and I'm writing something and I'm like, Miss Liz, I don't think 2 and 4 add up to 8. Ugh, you're right. I made a mistake.
Yeah.
I'm the first one to say I screwed up.
Mm-hmm.
Or I have to call a parent and say, you called me 3 days ago. I lost your number. I lost the text. I'm sorry,
Mhm.
but I will own up to my mistakes.
Mhm.
How often do you tell me about people that you may go to school with who don't own up to their mistakes because
Mhm.
they will never admit that they make a mistake?
Mhm.
So part of it is, do I feel that we have an obligation to our communities? Absolutely. Do you have an obligation to your nation? Absolutely. Does that mean you have to go into the military? No.
Mhm.
But you have an obligation to better yourselves and to better the community. It's not all in it for just you.
Exactly.
I'm not here for you. I'm here for us.
Mm.
And I think that shows through in my tutoring, because I always tell the parents, I will tell your kids to mind just like I would talk to my daughter.
Mm-hmm.
Straighten up, fly right.
Mm-hmm.
Don't be a jerk. Don't do this. And I think, and when you go off to school and you become an adult, and that's a process. We don't live in the 1800s where you're an adult at a very young age. Or where you were talking about they were mining and they've got guns pointed on the back of them, because they go into adulthood a lot earlier because they have to go to work for their family or whatever a lot earlier than we do here. We have this process of adolescence that allows U-turns.
Yeah.
And I will say this, U-turns can happen through your entire life. You can go, I don't like this job anymore. I don't like this career path. I don't like this boss. I don't like whatever. U-turns happen. Okay. One of my favorite bumper stickers is God allows U-turns, meaning come back to church. Whether you believe that or not, I liked that, whether it was for that specific moment or anywhere. If you find yourself in a place that you shouldn't be, make a U-turn, get out of it.
And also, okay, I love that you're saying this, but what do you have to say? Like, do you think what is so hard for people to do? You touched on it earlier with saying I made a mistake. Do you think it's like an ego or like a fear of the pressure of people being like, oh, they're switching it up. Oh, they're taking that U-turn.
Well,
they're stepping away.
I think it goes back to they've not learned to fail. And if you haven't learned to fail, the failures become harder and bigger.
It's true.
And then it becomes harder to make that U-turn because you can't, there's a joke. I can't drive in reverse. I can't tell you how many backup lights I've had to buy for the Honda. The salvage guy yard knows my name, because I've had to buy so many because I can't drive in reverse. I don't back up well. I'll do a U-turn, but I don't back up well.
Okay.
And the bigger the problems are, the harder it is to do that. So if you teach them younger to fail, and I'm not saying you have to be mean or whatever, but we don't learn failure because that competition, that embarrassment, my child's perfect, whatever, we don't learn that failure. And so later it's wrong. This is my 7th career.
Wow.
And I started it when I was 43.
Would you say it's your most successful?
I'm sorry?
Would you say it's your most successful?
Absolutely. And I love it. And I will do this until the day I die. Not to the level of which I do. I don't find a balance very well, but I love what I do. And I will continue doing this, but it's not, I need to learn that it's not everything that I am, in that aspect. But I do throw myself into it. But there were all those other careers, and I was very successful at them as well. But this is my passion to teach. And as Rob will tell you, to give life lessons, which is why this is called The World According to Liz.
Yes, The World According to Liz. So, yeah, I think that's something that I'm definitely going to take with me is try all these things. It's okay to fail. It's okay to pivot.
It's okay to pivot.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
My last question for you.
Yes.
What would be the legacy that you would like to be known for that you leave behind?
After I die?
No. After you graduate.
Oh.
Remember,
okay.
You're speaking to the audience. Who's the audience here?
Yes.
It's Carol's students.
The legacy that I'd say I want to leave is one of authenticity and one that says that showing up 100% as yourself and showing up doing what you love and being proud about what you love and being proud about what you believe in and what you're doing for those around you will take you so far. And stepping into that fear of being judged just based on if it's something that you like I said, like going into high school, I was so scared of like the world around me, of being perceived, of being judged. But after so long, I looked in the mirror and I was just like, do I want these external opinions to define me? Or do I want to just be who I am, know myself, know my strengths, and then give them to the world and people around me? And so something that I hate so much is when I constantly hear, but, oh, I can't do that. Like, it's embarrassing. Or, oh, I can't do that. Like, they're going to think like it's weird. I'm like, the reason why they think it's embarrassing and so weird is because they would never have the strength to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're insecure. But them projecting that insecurity onto you, that shouldn't limit what you're doing. It should just make you feel, oh my God, I can do something that they can't do. And so it's like, with a legacy, I just want people to know, like, stepping out of their comfort zone is going to do nothing but empower them, make them stronger, and reaching out and connecting with people, understanding people, building relationships with people who you think are like less than or aren't as cool. I'm telling you, the people in your circle who say, oh, they're weird, or oh, they're not cool, or oh, they're always just talking. It's like, those are the people who know themselves are going to go the furthest because they follow their heart and they follow what they want. And so, like, looking at like the people around me, I always say, I'm like, hey, why are you scared? Like, just do it. Like, hello. But to me, I just it's a practice. It's a practice of going against the grain, of knowing who you are, and even if your friends say one thing, you knowing in your heart to do another.
Right.
Again, like, other people's limits aren't your limits. Just because they could never step away from a certain relationship or step away from the friend group after being disrespected, it doesn't mean that you can't. You know what I mean? And it's the people who can consistently walk that harder route and say, no, I'm not going to do that. No, I'm going to do what's best for me. I'm going to do what I know is right. What I through my faith, through my teaching, through my everything, my education, knowing I'm not going to listen to what is wrong because everyone's saying it.
Correct.
I know what to do, and I'm going to do it. And that also, it trickles into everything. Integrity.
Mm-hmm.
It trickles into everything. Have integrity, not just, and it's like, integrity is like, do the right thing even when no one's watching, but it's also doing the right thing when everyone's watching.
Mm-hmm.
And they want you to do something wrong.
Mm-hmm.
No, still do the right thing. Because you doing that right thing is telling everyone else, it's making them go, wait, if they can do, like, I'm like, okay, like, because they know what they're doing is wrong. But since everyone's going along with it, the sound of the music, they're like, okay, we can just all do wrong together. But no, if you take that other step, if you do what you know you're meant to do, that's like sending a signal to them, like, I can do it too. I can be good too. You know what I mean? Where it's, I can pursue what I want too. I can create something too. And it takes that one, because everyone wants to be a part of the group. Everyone wants to feel included, but sometimes feeling included will hold you back.
Sure, it's very limiting.
When you want to be like everyone else, you don't get to develop your own strengths or what you're good at because you're so afraid of these external pressures where, well, at the end of the day, like, you're living with yourself. You're going to be with yourself for the rest of your life. So do what you want to do and be who you want to be, and don't do things that you're going to regret, knowing that you're going to regret them in the future. Just be who you are, do what you love, be empathetic, don't judge others, look at yourself and be like, because also, I'll say another thing. So much judgment and like, oh, what are they doing? Oh, that's weird. I realized comes from my envy or jealousy. And that's what it is. It's you see someone being so authentically themselves or trying super hard in school, not for the grade, but just because they love to learn.
Mm-hmm.
And people go, why do they the try hard? Why is when I hear they're a try hard, I'm like, what do you even mean?
Why aren't you?
Yeah, why are you a try not? Try hard at what you want to do and relentlessly go for what you love and do what you love, and if you do that and you keep doing that, it's gonna filter out who it needs to filter out. Not everyone is meant to go with you forever, or not everyone is meant to walk alongside you forever. And that's okay. Just be confident in the path that you're walking and know it's gonna work out for you if you stay true to your heart and stay true to what you know is right.
Perfect.
That's what I would say.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for being my very first guest.
Well, it was amazing. Thank you for asking me.
So much fun. Thank you.
Okay, so when's the next episode coming?